What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we got a reaction to Longpigs and their album The Sun Is Often Out, brought to us by friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Ian. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. We could not do it without you. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below. All right, I never heard of Longpigs, but after doing research on them, it sounds like it's going to be right up my alley, man. But if you don't know about them, they were an English indie rock band who rose to fame on the fringe of Britpop in the 1990s. Comprising Crispin Hunt on vocals, Richard Hawley on guitar, Simon Stafford on bass, and former Cabaret Voltaire member Dee Boyle on drums, who was replaced by Andy Cook for their second album, but this is their first album. Hailing from Sheffield, the group had success with singles such as She Said, On and On, and their well-received debut album, the one we're doing here, The Sun Is Often Out. They only had 2 albums. Ian says, this is one of the albums that I loved on its release in 1996 and gave it plenty of playtime. It was my first year at uni, and I was soaking up new music. This album was well-liked in the press and got some good reviews. One of my favorites from 1996, which is high praise because Ian knows a lot about music. All songs written by Crispin Hunt, except where noted, and I think it's only 1 or 2 that weren't solely written by him. If you haven't been with us before, the music will not be in the video, but it will be at a Vimeo link below, so click there and follow along with us. Or we'll go to the album opener, Lost Myself. Ian gives me a little breakdown on all these songs. I didn't really find much on this album or on the Longpigs. I read a couple interviews with them and a few things about them, but there really wasn't much to glean that I could share with you. But at least we got Ian who knows these songs. He says on Lost Myself, a distinctive Longpig sound is instantly established. Good opening track, if a little long. He gives it a 7 out of 10. He rates every song, which I love. I found it did go to number 22. You see it below on Spotify, but we're actually going to watch the official video for it. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Not while I'm watching the video, obviously. Thanks again, Ian. Lost Myself. What a freaking voice, right? And I think the way, right before he would hit certain words, right, the music would almost stop and it would pull you in and then like propel you forward. This is just a really good song. The video, I mean, obviously he's a voyeur. He's taking all these pictures. I think the woman was probably a lady of the night, or she just dated a lot of guys. But then there was another grouping where the guy killed the woman, and you know, the first woman we saw ends up getting older and kind of ending up alone with her dog. And all the while, Crispin's just over there on his own, just watching everything that's going on. He's watching the world go on around him. He's lost himself. And maybe she's lost herself too, right? So really good way to open this, man. Next up, we have She Said. Although this single didn't make the UK Top 40, Ian says, it was later re-released, going to number 16. Pretty long but varied, and as good as I remember back in the day, an 8 out of 10. I'm going to watch the video for this one as well. She said, boys and girls, they're going to owe a little bit of fees on this hotel room. They tear that thing up. But I'll tell you what, man, the guitar work, the vocal powers, like this song was fantastic, man. Just a rocker. Next up, we have Far. Their first top 40 hit, going to number 37. Ian says, I really enjoy this track, especially the long rolling outro, 8 out of 10. There's 2 different videos to this and 2 different versions of this song. I don't know if either one of them are the official video. So I'm just going to go with the song so that I hear the version that I'm supposed to hear. Far, the guitar work on here by Richard Hawley is absolutely fantastic, very catchy. Crispin said at the Glastonbury Live version of it, this is about a visit to an S&M club, which kind of like gives like that kind of gives some credence to the lyrics I was reading. But I mean, 3 bangers to start with, man. Next up, we have On and On. Ian says 3 great opening tracks. We have a much lower key, laid back song with a melancholic feeling, still a good track, 7 out of 10. This went to number 16. There's a US video and there's a UK video. So we're going to watch the UK video. All right, On and On, the song that kind of put him on the map, right? The first 3 singles I was reading didn't do great. This one goes to 16. So then they released the album. It does well. They re-released She Said, and it goes to number 16. So kind of cool. But all the songs that I've sung you more often than you know, because you're the one that I've clung to more often than I've let it show. And then I wish you would leave me, and I wish you would go, and then I wish you didn't need me, and I wished I didn't love you so, because I just can't go on. So please don't do me wrong. No, I won't do you harm. My love for you goes on and on. So it's the longer it went on, the more I liked it, right? At first I was like, yeah, this is a good song. It's an okay song. It's a good song. The more it went on, the more I liked it. I guess a really good song. All right, next up we have Happy again. Ian says it gets noisy. The song turns into a raucous, noisy jam at the end. It might be nostalgia, but the passionate delivery lifts it to a 7. Happy again, definitely a different kind of song. I thought Dee really got to shine on the drums, or obviously Richard on the guitar, Simon on the bass. Crispin's vocals were good. That's the first song I'm reading. Just didn't really hit for me. It's not a bad song, and it does showcase the awesome musicianship, but it was okay for me. Next up, we have All Hype, this time written by Hunt and D. Boyle. Another low-key song with that quite loud dynamic going on. Another good tune with nice keyboard parts, and another 7, Ian says. All right, All Hype, a pretty good song there as well. The lyrics, I mean, I'm a Christian, right? I'm not one of these Christians who pretends to be a Christian and cuts down everybody and everything because they don't understand what the Bible really says. So unfortunately, in my faith, a lot of the world who don't know Jesus and don't know anything about him except for the people who claim that they're Christians, they view Christianity in a way that is not what it is, which there's a lot of that going on, especially in my country, in the U.S. But I digress. But he's really kind of coming out against Jesus in a way here. And I read, after a car crash left him in a coma for a few days, which also delayed the release of this album, by the way. He said he didn't see or feel God, and that made him a bit of an atheist. So this song has something to do with that. Now, of course, me as a Christian goes, you're still alive, and that's where God was with you. He also introduced this song before playing it live at the Black Sessions in France in 1996. This quote, it's about losing your innocence and loving the fact that you lost it. So in other words, because he doesn't believe in God anymore, he doesn't believe there's any repercussions for how he acts. So that's sad to me as a Christian, but, it's a good song, though. It's a good song. I mean, I don't know if these guys are going to make a bad song. We're halfway through this album. I mean, they're too good. Crispin's too good on vocals, and I mean, the rest of them are too good on the musicianship part. But let's go to Sally Dances. Ian says, has a really funky bass line and Suede-like lead guitar. Love me some Suede. It rolls long and continues the consistency. Better than a 7, but not quite an 8. So we'll go with a 7.5. Just a fun, fast-paced song. Definitely guitar Suede-like and good bass line. I mean, Ian's right on with that. That's the things I would pick out. Lyrics don't make much sense at all, but that's okay. They don't need to. It sounds really good. Next up with our 8-track, we have Jesus Christ, the second single that didn't quite break the top 40. This has a wonderful, noisy, and passionate chorus interspersed with thoughtful verses, which set the scene for the next impassioned chorus. 8.5 out of 10. Probably Ian's favorite song on the album. It did go to number 67. And you know the drill. We're going to watch the video now. I think the video looks like it might be a little bit of rough quality. There's no official Longpigs YouTube channel, so you just got to pick these off from people who have them. So I'll take the versions that aren't that great quality-wise, so let's do it. All right, Jesus Christ. The video was fine. I didn't know if the quality was going to be great, but it was fine, man. It was fine. I don't know if the song's about Jesus Christ or about a girl. I think it's actually about a girl, but I don't know. But even if it's about Jesus Christ, it's not blasphemous, as Christian says. So that's good. I mean, once again, the musicianship, the power in Crispin's vocals, of course, but Holly on the guitar and Simon Stafford on that bass, and then, of course, D. Boyle's drums, which I mentioned earlier. But it really, really is showcased on this song. Next up, we have Dozen Wicked Words. Takes the noise level down, still sung passionately, but with a lower tempo. I can't give it less than a 7. Very difficult to identify which song is my least favorite. I think that's the worst song on here. I was convinced of it after the first minute, but then the longer it went on, that guitar melody, pretty good bass work on there. I don't know. I mean, it's still a good song, but, a weaker song on here. Let's say that. Next up, we have Elvis. Ian says, more spoken than sung. It's quite different from the rest of the vocal delivery, with tempo changes and harmonies, backing vocals. Another song that works well and feels creative and different. A 7.5. All right, Elvis. That song, it was a Jekyll and Hyde for me. There are parts of that song I do not like at all, but then we got some tempo changes in there that are just fantastic. So I don't know, man. It's kind of I don't know what I think of this song. I'd have to listen to it a few times. Like, usually I know what I think of a song pretty much on first listen. All right, we got 2 songs left, sort of. Yeah, and they're actually divided on Spotify because Spotify gets rid of that hidden track junk most of the time. But we got Over Our Bodies, a song that builds, Ian says, and feels like they wanted a grand finale, but doesn't quite pull it off. Too much music by numbers, but still enjoyable with slightly disappointing ending. 7 out of 10. But he says, but it's not quite over. The ubiquitous 90s hidden track then appears. Gotta have it, right? Oddly, it's not the usual B-side or joke track. It has a totally non-Longpigs acoustic feel. It's actually a beautiful little tune I enjoy more than the official final track, Another 7. So on the proper CD or album or cassette, whatever, at the time, there was a 10-minute gap, and then the song Sleep started. I'm just going to let them roll back to back because that's the way it was supposed to be. All right, let's cover Over Our Bodies first. I'm with Ian. I think they were going for this grand thing. I didn't exactly like Crispin's vocals partway through it, which is the first time I could say that because his vocals are fantastic. But The songwriting, it's a shame though, because the songwriting on this song is fantastic, and the songwriting, I'll get into it on the overall scores on this album, is not always, you know, fantastic. But this girl's with him, he loves her, but she's found another, some fool she claims who will love her. So come on and rain, take these and fall over our bodies. Come on and rain, and so he just can't. He can't get over it. Right at the very end, though, he does. He does say, "Hope you make her shine. Hope she shines for you where I failed myself if he loves you more." So I just thought that part was really good. It was a little bit long because the song didn't work. Then we go to Sleep, also very good songwriting. I think they are about on even. Like, I didn't love it, but I liked it, right? And so he's watching her sleep at night. So they're together. But my man Crispin he's probably been burned a lot in his life. So he's like, this is not going to work out. But one of these days, you're sure to be gone and I'll have to carry on without you. But how can I trust you're really in love and I have to carry on without you? Because one of these days you're sure to be gone and I'll have to carry on without you. That's how it ends. So the eternal pessimist, man. But I get it, man. If you're burned a lot, it's hard to let yourself really believe it's going to work. So now we're getting to my favorite tracks. It's pretty easy. Honorable mentions: Far, Faves are Lost Myself, She Said, and On. So the first 4 songs. Before I get to my overall score, we'll get Ian's final thoughts. He said, overall, this is an album that's more than the sum of its parts and something I hadn't played in 10 years. It's great to rediscover and still enjoy. It's not the best album of 1996, but it's pretty good, and it gets a 7.5 from me. And there were some publications that had it in their top 50 of the year, and I would agree with that. I would agree with a lot of what Ian said there. I think this is a sum of the parts, but I do think the first 4 songs are outstanding. Then I think I don't want to say it didn't fall off a cliff or anything. It just wasn't quite as high quality for me. So I'm going to be at a 7.25, but let me say this. Longpigs are fantastic. Like, the talent they had, Crispin's vocals, obviously Richard's guitar work, but I mean D on the drum. I mean, they were in Simon on the bass and on the keys on there. Like, they're really, really, really good. And I think they could have benefited maybe from some more songwriting. Like, this is not the kind of music, you know, and I really do like the songwriting and lyrics on songs, but I don't always have to have it, right? And this is more about a sound, right? And their sound is fantastic. But the songwriting with Crispin, it needed some work. You know, these last 2 songs were among the strongest on the songwriting side. But, you know, that might have helped them some, but I guess it was just too crowded in 1996 because as far as talent, these guys are fantastic. They got one other album that they made after this. Richard had left. But, yeah, I mean, let me know what you think of Longpigs down below. I never heard of them. Like I said, major talent. Thanks to Ian for bringing this one. And until next time, guys, I will see you.